Hello, happy Friday. Welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. In our top story, Lieutenant Governor Osbert Potter has been talking about his small business seminar this October. That seminar happened on Thursday at the University of the Virgin Islands Sports and Fitness Center, and it wasn't quite what the Lieutenant Governor expected. Still, they managed to impart some key information that would help aspiring business owners get started. News 2's April Knight has the story.
Lieutenant Governor Osbert Potter was a little disappointed at the turnout of his small business conference on Thursday.
Many of us that are here today, or most of us that are here today, are in the arena where we deliver some type of service or assistance to these very individuals that we were hoping to attract to this seminars.
He says the goal of the conference is to make sure information gets out there on how VI residents can start a small business. His office, he said, has gotten calls on the many hurdles of aspiring business owners.
Obstacles, bumps in the road, excessive delays, and just a whole lot of impediments.
One little gem of information that relatively few people know about is that the Small Business Administration backs loans taken out from banks by people who want to pursue a business idea.
Well, the banks would be willing to do this if, in fact, the banks were made aware that these small business loans were guaranteed by SBA.
Former VI Senator and now business owner Ali Petrus said his first business loan was backed by SBA. He said some people may be intimidated by the risks involved, but not him. His business ventures were not all successful, but he says the failures were necessary to forge ahead.
That made us wise, made us very smart. We have a very acute sense of what works, what doesn't work, and where we need to be and how we are to grow.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
Meanwhile, today at the Senate, lawmakers convened in session on St. Thomas. Senate President Neville James expressed misgivings about borrowing more money to keep GERS afloat. Lawmakers also said they're against the 30% reduction in benefits for Tier 1 employees. Senators also approved a coastal zone permit to authorize construction of a cargo facility at the Gordon A. Finch Molasses Pier facility on the South Shore. They also approved Bill number 31-0479 relating to the term of the justices at the Supreme Court. Public meetings will be held next week by WAPA to provide an overview of an integrated resource plan which, when adopted, will guide the public utility in planning the future of its power generation. The plan resulted from a study conducted by WAPA consultant Black & Veatch after 2 rounds of public meetings and sessions with community stakeholders, a process that began in 2015. WAPA also has meetings scheduled next week with stakeholders in the public and private sectors. The meetings are scheduled at 6 p.m. each day as follows: Monday, October 24th, CAHS Auditorium; Tuesday, October 25th, Cleon Creaky Legislative Conference Room; Wednesday, October 26th, the Curriculum Center on St. Croix. WAPA also has scheduled a computer system shutdown on Saturday, October 22nd. It's from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. to facilitate required maintenance. WAPA personnel will be performing an electrical upgrade to the authority's data center. Now, during that scheduled maintenance, customers will be unable to log on to pay bills, log online, place telephone calls to the WAPA switchboard. No electrical or potable water service interruption expected for that. Meanwhile, an emergency service interruption for a small section of St. Thomas Feeder 6A on Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon. Service will be interrupted to approximately 50 customers in the Fortuna area while crews transfer electrical lines and equipment from a falling pole to a newly planted pole. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and as we reported, various organizations in the territory held events to remember the victims. On St. Thomas, one major event took place on Thursday evening under the leadership of the Family Resource Center. Their message: end domestic violence. News 2's April Knight has more.
The streets around Emancipation Garden on St. Thomas was awash in purple on Thursday evening. The energetic music and lively parade was in stark contrast to the occasion, the remembrance of victims of domestic violence in the territory.
We just want to shine the light on victims of domestic violence, persons who have lost their life as a result of this domestic violence, and also to celebrate the victors, persons who are no longer under the oppression of domestic violence.
School bands and majorettes and various community organizations filled the streets, marching from Emancipation Garden up Government Hill, back down the waterfront, and back to Emancipation. On the pavilion were hung the names of Virgin Islanders who lost their lives to domestic violence.
We don't have every name, but we have the names that we know of.
Pieces of clothing worn by victims were hung up with messages about ending violence within the home. According to Government House, some 260 Virgin Islanders have died because of domestic violence in recent years, and that 3 women become victim to it every day on a national level. Here in the Virgin Islands, the fight has always been the same: to end the silence and ultimately stop the violence.
We as an agency, Family Resource Center, are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help persons who have been victimized or who are still suffering from the time they spent being a victim of domestic violence.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
Meanwhile, on St. Croix, the Women's Coalition also led a march and rally for victims of domestic violence. After a march down the road, they featured presentations, an interpretive dance number, as well as a silent segment in which they remembered the names of the victims and lined up their shoes at the stage. St. Croix Central Complex 12th grader Amira Mustafa won the essay contest put in place by organizers. Here's a little piece of her essay as read by Lavon Wise.
At 35 years, the Women's Coalition is in its juvenile stage, and it is not only needed now, but for decades more to come. The Women's Coalition is an advocate for victims, and until there are no more victims, their advocacy is indispensable. Although preventing victimization is an enormous task that might never get accomplished. However, there are steps that can be taken to first reduce the number of victims and hopefully later eradicate their presence.
Well, hopes have dimmed for Haitians combing the countryside for missing relatives in the Caribbean nation's hardest hit zone, the remote and long ignored southwestern tip. With Haiti's interim government taking the lead in directing relief efforts, many say there are no boats reaching cut-off coastal towns for days. Dive crews or teams with trained search dogs looking for the missing and dead. Government personnel and an army of international aid workers are delivering more relief supplies to people, but local authorities in southwest Haiti say it is falling short of meeting desperate needs. Hillary Clinton's campaign was apparently concerned about Al Gore last year. That's according to newly released emails hacked from Clinton's campaign chairman. In the emails released by WikiLeaks today, Clinton's top aides discuss former vice president's declaration that he would not endorse Clinton. Huma Abedin replied that the campaign had been warned and blamed it on bad history between Clinton and Gore. The acrimony between the two has been well known since the White House years under Bill Clinton's administration. Gore did endorse Clinton after the primary wrapped up, and this morning he campaigned with her for the first time since 2000. Keeping an eye on the economy, Viking Ocean Cruises MS Viking Star will be making her inaugural call on Thursday, October 27, here in St. Thomas at the Waiko Dock in her debut season. Viking Star was awarded with the cruise industry's highest honors, including being named Best New Ocean Ship and receiving a 5-star rating by the editors of Cruise Critic. British Airways will begin offering direct flights between New Orleans and London in March 2017. Here's a look at the stock market watch at the New York Stock Exchange. According to the numbers there, we can see the Dow down 16, NASDAQ up 15, S&P 500 also down. Coming up on News 2, breast cancer awareness, the basics, and what you need to know. That's coming up. Welcome back. On Thursday, the Department of Health experienced challenges with the ambulances, and they reported today that the ambulance service resumed on the island of St. Croix 11 a.m. after completing necessary repairs to the ambulance unit. Meanwhile, the USVI National Guard, they're collaborating with the Department of Health to respond to emergency calls. In an order approved by Acting Governor Osbert Potter, the USVI Guard will supply a tactical ambulance driver and medical specialist to respond to overflow calls. Two DOH EMTs will accompany the National Guard ambulance to respond to any emergency calls. This collaboration will provide two ambulances to serve the St. Croix district. The remanufactured ambulance that was acquired by the department is awaiting retrofitting for the addition of running boards and steps. Time for breast cancer awareness, and a day is set aside in celebration of life. The Charlotte Kimmelman Cancer Institute, they're holding a Cancer Survivor Day on Tuesday. Many free services will be provided, and now is the time to register, and you must pre-register. The number to call is 775-5433.
It's a day where we pamper all cancer survivors and where our business community give door prizes and their services free of charge for our cancer survivors to enjoy that day, such as free services such as therapeutic massages, reflexology, manicures, hairstyles and haircuts, professional makeovers, facials. We have lots of food and drinks available, door prizes, fabulous door prizes from the businesses in the community. And I want to thank them for doing so. It's not too late to give, but we do expect to have quite a few people here. And we want to extend the invitation to all cancer survivors in our community.
Be sure to check that out and call them to register. Now, we continue breast cancer recognition during the month, of course, and it's the most common cancer among women worldwide and the second most common cancer overall. Due to the use of regular mammography screening, most breast cancers in the U.S. are found at an early stage. Here's more. Cancer occurs as a result of mutations or abnormal changes in the genes responsible for regulating the growth of cells and keeping them healthy.
Whenever you feel a lump, please don't assume. Seek medical attention. It doesn't always mean that it is cancer. Sometimes it's a benign cyst, sometimes it's a benign fibroadenoma, but we can't tell that just from the feel of it. You have to seek medical attention, and then your medical provider will decide if you need a mammogram, if you need an ultrasound, if they want to evaluate further, and if you need a biopsy. A biopsy is simply a procedure where a piece of the abnormality, the abnormal area, a piece of it is obtained, and that is then sent to a pathologist for further evaluation.
After getting a biopsy and documenting that it is breast cancer, then surgery is considered. The surgeon meets with the patient to decide the best options.
So the options are either a lumpectomy, where you remove the lump, or a mastectomy, where you remove the entire breast.
The stage is based on the following factors: the size of the tumor within the breast, the number of lymph nodes affected. Research is continually developing and tested for new ways to treat breast cancer more effectively while reducing side effects. Doctors call it multidisciplinary because it involves many different types of physicians.
And then we have guidelines that tell us, based on the stage, this is a recommended treatment. So if a patient has a very early stage breast cancer where it's really small, hasn't gotten into the lymph nodes, a lot of times they don't need chemotherapy. But if they have a later stage cancer where, it's above a certain size, greater than 2 centimeters, there are lymph nodes involved, then we do recommend chemotherapy. But also we look at other factors, age, we look at the expression of estrogen and progesterone receptors.
We'll have more. Now, as we reported earlier this week, there was no school for students in the St. Thomas St. John district today as the educators attended the AFT Teach Professional Development Conference. School session is back on Monday, October 24th. Meanwhile, there are dismissal dates set for St. Croix students. Monday, October 24th. All St. Croix public schools will be closed Tuesday, October 25th, all St. Croix elementary schools will dismiss at 1. Lunch will be served and buses will be dispatched. Secondary school, junior, and high schools will not dismiss early. Thursday, October 27th, all St. Croix secondary schools, junior and high schools will dismiss at 1 p.m. School sessions are normal on Wednesday, October 28th and Wednesday, October 26th and Friday, October 28th. National School Bus Safety Week ends today, and many people question why there are no seat belts on school buses. However, according to the National Highway Transportation Administration, school bus transportation is one of the safest forms of transportation in the U.S. Here's more.
They're built specifically for safety, with or without the seat belt. They're built in such a way, they call it compartmentalization. So the seats are built like a little compartment. And if the students sit between those seats, they're basically fine because they're well padded. The seat belts are padded, seats are padded so that in the case of impact, they're cushioned.
Well, here are some fun events happening this weekend. It's a grown-up Halloween party for a good cause with a cocktail reception, past appetizers, performers, dancing, live auction experience, and more. It's for the Virgin Islands Children's Museum as they present a fundraising masquerade ball for the VICM annual fund. You can win many items such as 2 passes to the fall collection in New York City with hotel, live auction or elegant dinner for 10 with a private chef and mystery experience like no other. At the VI Children's Museum at Grand Hotel, again, that's Saturday, October 22nd, 7 p.m. to midnight. You can log on to www.vichildrensmuseum.org to purchase a ticket, or you can pay at the door. Ivana Eudora Ken's music department, they're presenting It's All in the Reel, a great little get-together and fundraiser. They say, let's get animated, buy your ticket, and enjoy your time with the band, choir, jazz, Ken music, stylies, Maroon Men, Steel Band, Ken Band Boosters. Now, the concession will be selling. You can go out and enjoy the students as they put on a wonderful production. And great, go out and support them. Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.
Oh, a big storm still swirling in the South Atlantic. Not an organized tropical system, but it has a wealth of tropical moisture with a connection all the way back to the East Pacific. You can kind of follow the trail of clouds there up through Hispaniola and into the Atlantic. The good news is the worst of the deep moisture, which you can see here in these green patches around southern Haiti back towards Jamaica, those are well off to the west. We're actually seeing a little bit of a northerly flow. You can see the clouds kind of moving in from north to south. That saved us from the worst of the showers, but there could still be a pop-up shower or two. You can see a few clouds here on the satellite picture. Radar indicating a couple of very light showers mixed in there as well. But if you look off to the north and to the west, that's where the heavier bouts of the rain are. Not going to be looking for that to cross into our area, so that is some good news. A little bit of rain, but not too much. Partly cloudy with maybe a shower early tonight. Temperatures will stay in the lower 80s as we go through the day tomorrow. Highs near 90 degrees. Some sunshine with, again, a chance for a shower. As we go into the second half of the weekend, starting to get back into that more of a trade wind pattern with an easterly breeze, and that's where the showers will come from as well. But a shower or two possible for St. Thomas. Highs close to 90 degrees. 88 in St. Croix. Again, watch for a shower or two. Certainly not going to be a washout with the worst of the wet weather staying off to the west. Waves sat on the Atlantic side about 1 to 3 feet. Winds are out of the south and east, pretty light, 5 to 10 knots. But again, we're more used to that easterly wind. We'll get a little bit more of that on the Caribbean side, but it's still a very light breeze, so waves should be quite calm as well, about 1 to 3 feet. Extended forecast, little change. Through this weekend into early next week, temperatures will stay in the upper 80s. Watch for a shower in spots really each of the next couple of days, but still expecting lots of sunshine. And overnight lows will stay pretty mild, close to 80 degrees. Sandy, back to you.
Thanks for that. Have a wonderful weekend. Looking at our News 2 weather picture there by Janae Evans of Ricardo Richards Elementary School. We feel like she's floating because it's weekend time. and everything's all nice and light, or she's sunbathing on the beach. Janae, great time to do that is this weekend. Thank you for your picture. Send us your News 2 weather picture to the address on the screen. Be sure to tune in to see it right here on News 2. Stick around. News 2 Sports comes your way next.
I'm Gary Anthony, and this is News 2 Sports. First and foremost, congratulations to the Cleveland Indians for making the World Series. Yay, Cleveland! The Cubs and the Dodgers are battling to see who gets to travel to Cleveland for Game 1 on Tuesday night. Game 5 of the NLCS, series tied at 2, top of the 6th, score tied at 1. And Addison Russell with the 2-run dinger. Kapow! 3-1 Cubbies. And the Cubs break the game open in the 8th. They're up 5-1 when Javier Baez blasts a double to right, driving in 3 runs, and the Cubs go on to win 8-4. They go back to Chi-Town with 2 chances to win 1 game and make their first World Series appearance since 1945. On to the NFL and the weekly Thursday night clunker. Chicago Bears versus the Green Bay Packers. Third quarter action, Aaron Rodgers to Davante Adams for the TD. The Packer up 13-10. It's so nice, let's do it twice. Rodgers again to Adams for the 4-yard touchdown pass. The Pack go up 20-10, and they go on to win 26-10. Staying in the NFL, the best matchup for Sunday, Patriots at Steelers. A lot of the shine has come off of this game. Steelers QB Ben Roethlisberger is out with a knee injury, so Landry Jones, that's right, the Landry Jones will be behind center. For the Pats, the Tom Brady revenge tour continues with an unstoppable tight end combo of Gronkowski and Bennett. As much as I'd like to give the Steelers a fighting chance, that's not happening. I like the Pats to win by double digits. And that's it for sports. Have a fabulous weekend. Sandy, back to you.
You as well, Gary. On behalf of all of us, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.